Funding for the production of Folks is provided in part by the Friends of LPB.
What you see here is a bit of the first annual Louisiana Senior Games. How do senior citizens benefit from the games?
Well, what we're trying to do is focus on physical fitness throughout a lifetime. And I think this shows beyond a doubt that there's no limit on the capabilities of a person based on their chronological age, and that's what we're really doing.
And what do the participants think of the idea?
I think this is one of the best things happened to the seniors in Louisiana for a long time, to have it competition in the whole state.
Hello everyone, I'm Rob Hinton.
And I'm Genevieve Stewart. Today on Folks, we'll be taking you to the first annual Louisiana Senior Games. You'll meet some of the athletes and see how some people over 65 are keeping fit.
We'll also have a story on nursing home life, and we'll introduce you to another form of total care living. That and more today on Folks.
Everybody says folks, just plain old folks. Everybody's just people all over the world. Those who live, folks got to give, folks got to care, folks got to share. Our world is small, so very small. What touches one of us, who touches us all? To stay alive, just to survive, folks got to be in harmony. Everybody just folks, just plain old folks, just plain old folks. Everybody's just folks, everybody just folks, just plain old folks, just plain old folks. Everybody's just folks.
Our first story deals with nursing homes. You see, nursing home life is one of the most misunderstood aspects of our society today. And here are a few reasons why. This is Ruth Pritzson. She is one of about 26,000 senior citizens in Louisiana who lives in a nursing home.
This is home to me. It's home. I mean the word home, and it really is. I feel that way. I like everything about it, and when I go away, I miss it, and I'm always glad to come back.
Ruth is 80 years old and blind. About a year ago, she began taking piano lessons.
I have a teacher that teaches me by ear, you see, because I cannot see, and she plays it over, and then I take it from there. We try to make it that way, by ear.
Thomas O'Neill is another nursing home resident. He lives at Jefferson Manor Nursing Home in Baton Rouge. O'Neill spends spring and summer months working in the garden. Here's what he thinks about nursing home life.
It's not home, but it's a good place to be, because the kids gotta live their life, and they step backwards to go along with you, and they realize the hardships you're under, and they try to be as helpful as possible.
Olga Gonsolin and Eva Denham are also residents at Jefferson Manor.
I came here last November, and when I had been living with my son, his wife, and my daughter-in-law, thought I should go in a nursing home. So we tried one place out at Denham Springs. Got my name, but I didn't like it. So my pastor called Mr. Brown, and he said I could. So we came here, and I knew this is the place where the Lord wanted me to be, and this is right. It's proved out true. I've received many blessings here. I have many friends here. I love friends.
What about the food? How do you like the food?
I think the food is very good.
I like food. I always eat enough.
Well, what about the people? Are you making friends here?
Well, yes, I could say I have a few friends, yes. 5 or 6, maybe.
I do say one thing for this home, that this first place, the home I've ever been in, but the workers, both races, are wonderful. And I have many friends among them, and I love them, and the nurses are super duper. They've been tending to me. So this is where I'm going to be till the Lord calls me home.
People like the ones you have just seen and heard reflect the abundance of life that can be found in Louisiana's nursing homes. But even with the great love for life these residents have, nursing home life still remains one of the most misunderstood aspects in our society.
We deal with some very volatile issues, Rob. We deal with the elderly, we deal with the ill, and we deal quite a lot with federal and state money. All three are very volatile, very emotional issues, and you put them all together, and that's our primary thrust in nursing homes, then that gives you an unfortunate image sometimes.
One way of overcoming the image problem, say nursing home officials, is to get the families of nursing home residents involved in nursing home life.
Involvement of the family with the patient in the setting the patient is currently living. When families understand, when they visit, when they come to see the patient in the home, we don't have an image problem. It's when the family doesn't come see the patient, doesn't visit, then they don't understand what's happening there.
Family involvement is very important in a nursing home, probably the most important part of a nursing home. If a family comes and dumps a resident at the nursing home and does not come and see the resident, then we have problems with the resident. And also we end up having problems with the family. In order to get family involvement, we try to get the family to be involved in the development of care plans when the resident is staffed on a quarterly basis. When we pick up problems that such as activity problems or lack of activity or a lack of eating or something like that, then we call the family and have them involved and say, look, we think you need to take this resident out some more. Or we think that a few more visits would help this resident a little more.
Part of the problem with nursing home life is the feeling of guilt associated with placement of a loved one.
The best thing to do, I think, to help them to deal with their guilt is to help them in their examination of the alternatives and what it's doing to the family or what it's doing to them, and how it may be destroying the caretaker, may be going into a self-destruct situation because they cannot cope with it.
A lot of the problems that nursing homes have are with families rather than the individuals themselves. I think, too, that the insistence on the part of government regulators to see that certain criteria are met has had a profound effect. And then there has been the peer pressure from other nursing home operators to provide better service, and this has an influence on what each of the nursing homes do.
How should you go about choosing a nursing home for someone in your family?
The proximity of the nursing home is very important. The reason I feel this way is because family visitation is very important in a nursing home. The more often a family visits, the happier the resident is going to be. The family should look at several aspects of the nursing home. They should look at the way the staff interacts with the patients. They should look at the patients themselves, how they look, are they up and dressed. Ask the patients themselves some questions on how they like the food, how they like their environment. The family should also look at the cleanliness of a nursing home. I think that everyone has the ability to look at an area and see how clean it is, and that's very important in a nursing home.
An alternative to nursing homes would be a life care community environment like St. James Place in Baton Rouge. For an entrance fee and monthly assessments, residents have life use of their apartments and around-the-clock nursing home care. St. James Place was conceived to meet the needs of comparatively healthy, middle to upper income aging persons. The residential center stimulates mobility, provides a variety of group activities, and alleviates the worries of medical emergencies with no one to respond, as Director Bill Bivens explains.
We have residential, strictly residential, private, independent living apartments for those who are very much on the go, for those who are able to live without assistance. Yet we provide for them many services, many facilities, ranging from a fully staffed, licensed, skilled nursing home to the other services such as housekeeping, transportation, maintenance. We pay all utilities. We have a full activities program, a full-time activities director whose sole responsibility it is to plan, implement programs. We have a lovely dining room that serves 3 meals a day, every day of the year.
Residents may invite family and guests for meals in the dining area or entertain a larger group in a private room. The ice cream parlor is a popular spot for congregating with friends or treating grandchildren, as is the adjacent indoor garden area. This lobby, complete with a library, is one of many conversation areas conveniently situated among the apartment's corridors. The fully equipped apartments include maid service, laundry, and a monitored call system for medical emergencies.
An independent living person, retiree, in his beautiful apartment, furnished as he wants it furnished, and who may be 62, who may be 92, he knows that attached to, down a carpeted corridor from his apartment, is a nursing care center, which is a citadel, you might say, of protection to provide him with health maintenance programs, to keep him well, to prolong his period of independent living in the apartment. And during this time, we have all of the supportive services to the apartment, which in essence really allows him to live in a resort community type of atmosphere.
The $20 million cost of the complex seems well invested, as St. James Place residents explain why the total care community concept is important to them.
My husband and I came just to look the place over so we would know what is available in our area. And the more we walked around and saw the advantages and the many facilities, we just decided that this was for us.
Do you like the total care or life care community concept?
That part of it appealed to us very much. We've had experiences with my husband's mother and my mother having to be in nursing homes for many years. And we thought that if we could spare our children the decision of having to make plans for us later on down the road, that it would be what we would like to do.
Mrs. Hilsmeyer, do you take advantage of the fitness classes, ceramics classes, some of the other activities that they have here?
I take every bit of it in. I walk 2 miles every morning and go to the exercise classes 3 times a day. Try to do everything I can so that I might live to be 100 years old.
Like George Burns?
Like George Burns.
Wesley Plaza is another residential center for senior citizens. It is a rent-subsidized complex owned by the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. At the forefront of the civil rights movement in the 60s, the ministerial group is breaking new ground with housing for Golden Agers. Hence, the $12 million garden apartment complex in Baton Rouge, with another in the planning for New Orleans. Wesley Plaza residents do not have to meet any income standards, but they are expected to pay a certain percentage of their rent, as manager Michael Cox explains.
In a Section 8 202 complex such as Wesley Plaza, the resident pays 30% of their adjusted monthly gross income, and the government will pay the other 70% for them. To qualify to be a resident here at Wesley Plaza, one would have to be at least 62 years of age or on disability and capable of maintaining an apartment on his or her own.
The quadrangle arrangement of the complex allows residents to landscape and garden. The senior citizens also take an avid interest in decorating the interior of their apartments. The fully equipped units are complete with drapes, carpeting, and all modern conveniences. Complex residents have nothing but praise for their new home.
If there was anything about Wesley Plaza you could change, what would that be? Anything
I don't know of anything. There's nothing that I would like to change. We have a good manager, and we have a good dietitian, and all of that.
The residents of Wesley Plaza have a variety of activities from which to choose. Everything from gardening, playing pool, crocheting, to quilt making. But the most fun part of quilt making is the conversation that takes place around the quilt.
All the gossip.
Even in the twilight of their years, some residents indicated a hint of romance. Are you living by yourself?
By myself.
Do you have a girlfriend here?
Yeah.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, I have one.
You met her living here since you've been living here?
I met her before I moved here.
Do you have a boyfriend here?
No, I don't have a boyfriend, and it's been 25 or 30 years since our boyfriend has approached me even.
Pride and satisfaction would best describe how Wesley Plaza residents feel about their new home.
I just wanted everybody to know how nice this place is.
Since I've been here, everybody I meet, I meet them with a smile. Everybody's like me, they're happy all the time.
Exposition in Black is significant in the Louisiana art world. It is the first showing at a major gallery to focus totally on Louisiana's black artists. It was 2 years in the making. Critically acclaimed painter Richard Thomas is guest curator for the exhibit. He explains the scope of the show and how the artists were selected.
Well, actually, the show took about 2 years to get together. We first tried to jury the work by having artists to submit their work, and from that, I think we had maybe 200 artists that submitted work from all over Louisiana, and that still wasn't everybody, you know, and so we had to find other effective means of getting as many folks to submit some work or get a chance to see their work. So it meant going out and traveling and finding these artists. So once that happened, we narrowed it down to about 35 artists, and then we narrowed it down to about 25. And as you know, right now the show has 29 artists that are represented here from all over the state, from as far as, well, Shreveport, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and other areas here.
Thomas especially feels the need for greater visibility of the black artist. These exhibiting artists have a goal in mind. They want the public to view their works on their own merit, while challenging the art establishment to recognize them as professional, educated artists in their own right. Black artists are known historically for their folk art, but this exhibit demonstrates that this is not the limit of their art. Thomas emphasized the range and variety of mediums among black artists.
We can almost begin to say that there is a black aesthetic. There is something that black artists are doing that is unique, that is of his own. And I think as we probably do more studying and investigating into this, we will find well, there's another artist here whose works are featured in this show by the name of Stephanie Jackson, who in a sense sums up the whole thing with what she's doing because of all the elements that she superimposes over each other. She does these altar pieces that are sort of reminiscent of some of the altars that you find in some folks' home in New Orleans, you know, or in Algiers, the sort of the voodoo worshipers or whatever, but they're ritualistic in one sense, and at the same time you see the Christian influence because they're images of and symbols related to Christianity, and at the same time it's talking about a feeling, it's talking about a black experience here in America, and I think that that's important. I think that when we begin to explore those kinds of things, it's almost like what the jazz musicians did for jazz music, or what the blues musicians did for the blues, you know, and the gospel and the spiritual. It all came out of the same struggles. And I think that the same thing that those cats did with music, and the same sounds and the same feelings that they express, can be found in the visual artists, the black visual artists here in Louisiana, which I think is very interesting.
Xavier University graduate and contemporary artist Elton Bailey describes his artworks and what the exhibiting artists hope to achieve.
Basically what I'm doing now is working with active against passive moods, such as you see in Unguarded Vanity, where you have a sort of somber mood working over an active mood that's on top. And also the piece on the end, which is Solitude, is working with cool colors that gives you another mood of quietness, of being alone. That's what's going on in Recluse, which shows you something of being alone or standing alone by oneself.
Now, are these watercolors, oils, or what?
No, these are basically screen prints.
And what inspired you to do these?
Well, put it this way. Basically, I was working with acrylics, and I was a painter, and I knew the show was going to take place, and I wanted to start working again. So it was like something inside of me that was driving me to crank up again instead of staying stagnated as I was, because for a few years after school, I just remained sort of stagnated in the arts. And when I knew the show was going to happen like a year or two ago, it just made me start working again. So.
Do you feel as though this exhibit is going to open up new doors for contemporary black artists in New Orleans?
Well, I would hope so. I mean, it's something that we needed in the past to happen. I'm glad to see that it has happened. And I hope people become to recognize as artists first, and then black artists secondly.
Dr. Jack Jordan is chairman of the art department at Southern University, New Orleans, and a nationally exhibited sculptor. His I Remember series of wood sculptings is a part of Exposition in Black.
The work that you're looking at now is a series of wood sculptures. They were realized from the, not the found object necessarily, but from the thrown away object. These were old telephone poles, as in my hometown from Oklahoma, they call it telephone poles, but I think they call them pilings here. I've been known to pick up all the pilings that I can find as I see homes going up. And as a result of this, the challenge was to carve this, and the challenge was to see what could come from them. The subject matter then stemmed from some of my experiences of black people. I have gone from some of the, I call this the I Remember series. This is just a portion of it. I have dealt with the preacher, the teacher, this common laborer, the washerwoman, the deacons. The many things that I've experienced in my life came in this series, and you're looking at roughly about 8 of them.
And now, more fine works from Exposition in Black and the music of Ramsey Lewis.
Our last story takes place here on the campus of LSU in Baton Rouge. Hundreds of senior citizens from all across the state gathered here to take part in the first annual Louisiana Senior Games, and it was a tremendous success. Senior citizens from all across the state took part in the games. The event was organized by the East Baton Rouge Parish Council on Aging and took place over a 3-day period.
We're very excited about it. We had 400 participants this year. We really look forward to everybody taking part next year, and all of the people who've taken part this year are going to go back and tell their friends about it.
Tell us about some of the games that were.
Well, we've had track and field events, swimming events, billiards, horseshoes, washer pitching, golf, frisbee throw. They had 21 different events, basketball, free throw, lots of good games.
How do the participants benefit?
Well, what we're trying to do is focus on physical fitness throughout a lifetime. And I think this shows beyond a doubt that there's no limit on the capabilities of a person based on their chronological age, and that's what we're really doing.
Harold Kankakee Millon of New Orleans was one of the senior athletes.
Well, I participated in the basketball, table tennis, and billiard. And I was supposed to participate in the track and field meets.
Tell me what you like most about these games.
Well, they're very entertaining. It gives something for the senior citizens to do, to make them look forward to these here games, and it makes them, as they're a part of life as we get older. And I think it's a very good thing that we have these here games.
And like Millon, all of the senior athletes enjoyed the games.
What do you think about these senior games?
Oh, they're excellent. I think this is one of the best things happened to the seniors in Louisiana for a long time, to have it competition in the whole state. It makes you aware of the fact that you've got to take care of this physical body, and the best way to do it is to take it along gradually, you know, and that's what they advocate, and have fun. It's not the question of whether you win or lose, but it's how you get out there and enjoy yourself.
So have you had fun since you've been here?
Oh, definitely.
Swimming was one of the most popular events. Some of these more mature swimmers swam well enough to put a lot of young whippersnappers to shame, like 76-year-old Irma Appleton and 77-year-old Catherine O'Neill.
Tell us, what do you think about these senior games?
I think it's terrific, just terrific, and I hope next year we'll have a lot more.
We just want to show them that those over 70 are still kicking.
You say you started out participating as a joke.
Yeah, I put my foot in my mouth.
So what do you think now?
I think I put my foot in my mouth.
No, you haven't.
Well, I tell you, they brought us up here to the Y, and I thought we were just going to go look around, and I was talking to this man, and I didn't know he was a reporter. He says, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Oh, I just go up there and eat." And he said, "Well, what's your name?" And then he was writing all this down. I said, "Oh, Lord, I put my foot in my mouth." So I said, "I'm going to swim."
And she swam, too. She swam.
I didn't intend to swim.
Did you have fun in the process?
Very much. I've enjoyed it, enjoyed meeting people from all over the state, and I hope they'll tell their friends, and we deserve a lot of credit for just being in it. But the people here that have planned it deserve a real round of applause.
This has been fun.
And we thank them.
JoPaul Steiner and Mike Offner swam competitively against one another back in the 1930s.
But Mike Offner, back in the 30s, was the best breaststroker in the nation.
No.
He still is one of the greatest. Don't argue with me.
Come on, let's make it to South, huh?
South, he wiped out. He was the best and one of the top.
But you always won, I understand.
Most of the time, let's put it that way. Nobody wins all the time.
So how'd he beat you today?
A little faster than me.
No, this is an occasion. Mike is a top swimmer. He keeps himself in very good physical condition, but he's a tough competitor. Now, if we were to go in that water right now, I know what would happen. He beat me by this far, so I am not going to race them again. I am retiring undefeated one time in 55 years. How about that?
Well, I wish you wouldn't.
That's our program for this week. Thanks for watching.
We'll be back next week with a look at the I've Known Rivers Pavilion at the World's Fair.
Until then, make it a good week.
Funding for the production of Folks is provided in part by the Friends of LPB.